I'd lived a life that was pretty full up to that point in terms of having everything you want and going, but this isn't satisfying. So that was a gift I think God gave me, was having lived a life that seemed like the life you'd want to live and realizing, there has to be more to it. And I found myself thinking, I don't think I'm much of a role model. I do the things that people do, over drink, smoke pot, womanize, and I didn't think that I had a kind of a life that I thought was worth anybody emulating. A person I knew, he wasn't a friend, but he was an acquaintance, called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, how are you?" And I said, "Well, I'm missing something in my life. There's a gap somewhere in my life." And he said, "Well, that's the way I felt before my now wife introduced me to Jesus Christ about a year ago." And I said, "I'm interested. Let's talk." My name is Mark Bolton. I'm senior pastor here at New Community Church. So my story is that I grew up in a home where my mother was serious about a kind of a traditional Episcopal faith, but I didn't take it terribly seriously. I went through it, I think, the way most people would, just doing what people do, getting confirmed and so on. But it wasn't at all personal for me. When I got out of college in 1979, of course at the age of 22, I started a job teaching, and I was teaching at a school for learning disabled children, a private school down in the Florida area there. And I noticed that the kids were looking up to me as a kind of a role model, and I found myself thinking, I don't think I'm much of a role model. When I was in college, my girlfriend moved down to live with me, and things were okay there. But at one point, she did get pregnant, and we talked about getting an abortion. I flew up to Boston so she could do that. When it wasn't a low point, because at that point I didn't have any moral qualms about it. It wasn't like a big deal. It's what people did. And so I was trying to be supportive, truly to be supportive for her. That's why I came up. But morally, I wasn't terribly bothered by it. It was later, when I became a Christian, that I realized what a horrible thing that had been, and I had to really go through some healing over that, which I did, and now that's why I can talk about it. And then when Tom and I met, he began to explain the gospel to me in a way that I understood, and was very attractive to me because he and his wife were very appealing people. He was a very fun person, but he was very serious about his faith, and as he and Sharon talked about what it meant to follow Jesus, I began to be very interested. One night I was in the gym. I was doing cable flies, looking myself in the mirror, and that was the moment where I said, why would you push this God away? He loves you, He's willing to forgive you, and He wants to be in control of your life. So I went home to my apartment that night and got on my knees and said, I don't understand the whole thing, but what I understand I want to be a follower of Jesus Christ. And that really was the beginning of a tremendous change in my life. The most impactful thing was a person. It was Tom Wilkerson, who took the time to call me and share the gospel with me. And that made all the difference. That was the turning point for me. That person will be your guide, and the Holy Spirit will be at your side, and He'll draw you in. It's in His hands.